So people have been talking about the new bachelor's degree. The bachelor's degree becoming the equivalent of the high school diploma. There's a Washington Post opinion that I read the other day that said, is a college degree becoming the new high school diploma? And people, policymakers are pointing to the fact that a high school diploma earns pretty much nothing in these days. The bachelor's degree provides a premium of about 75% of income, starting salary, than someone with a high school diploma over lifetime earnings. So people use that as a justification for, why we should have free college, why we should move closer into, why we should move into college-based kinds of preparatory systems. But I think what this is failing to realize, or what this debate is failing to really consider, is how the high school diploma has practically become worthless, okay? So in the 50s and the 60s, if you got a high school diploma, you were pretty much set for a job, for a decent paying job. You could do these kinds of things. Today's economy, not the same. You need at least a college degree, and even people with bachelor's degrees aren't getting the kinds of jobs that they expect to come out after spending 4 years paying a ton of money, shelling it out into the higher education industry. They're still not getting the returns, and they're still complaining about it. So you can imagine people even without a bachelor's degree, that is the still majority of Americans that are being educated currently are not going to go out and get a bachelor's degree. They're going to get an associate's, or they're going to get high school. And those people are left stuck in the mud even more as our economy quickly pushes towards a greater elite system. So the high school diploma is becoming jammed out of any kind of value whatsoever. And I think that is the biggest failure of our education system. Nothing to do with education, nothing to do with higher education. Higher education is still a minority opinion. Still, most people go through a high school education. 90% of people graduate from high school, and these 90% of people cannot even find a job. Cannot even find a decent paying job, more than minimum wage, more than $10 an hour. That's the crisis that's facing, and it comes down to our high school. People don't realize that the high school has become almost worthless, kind of a worthless marker, in the sense that employers don't care if you have a high school degree. They genuinely don't care. It doesn't matter to them. It's not a guarantee of any job anymore. And I think this stems really from a couple problems. One, the high school teachers and secondary school teachers in general, are just not motivated to teach anymore in American society. Why? Because they're being culled from the bottom of the college pool. Largely speaking, teachers who are paid very little, who are assigned to or who are often not highly educated in and of themselves, many don't have master's degrees. Few people are truly experts at their field. They're the people who are being taught or teaching our students right now. So we're not culling elite teachers. And say what you want about technology, but the most important thing towards a kid's development, towards a kid's growth and development, is the teacher in themselves. I know the teacher was the one who motivated me to go into writing, to go into podcasting. My 6th grade English teacher was the one who started that spiral for me by giving me rigorous and challenging work. And teachers these days are just not doing that. They're not motivated to do that. Maybe it's because of pay, which I would advocate, we want to create more elite teaching professions for schools so that people will learn more from high school and get something out of their education. But also classroom rigor is so low, our standards are so low. I mean, have you looked at Common Core? Okay, forget the Common Core, no Common Core debate. Part of the reason why people are so fed up with Common Core is because it's so weak. It's so weak. It's a standard. It's still a low standard. Okay. I come from an Asian family. I get it. I was taught to achieve beyond my bounds, beyond my achievements, and people should be taught. Even if you're not going to teach your kid as rigorously as like an Asian helicopter mom, you should at least teach your kid rigorously enough to have them start algebra in 6th grade, to help them start calculus by 10th grade. That should be very easy to do. to have them be able to have a solid reading comprehension level, be able to write a 5-paragraph essay by 8th grade and be able to write a 10-page paper by 10th grade. 5-paragraph essay by 6th grade. People are still malleable when they're young, and you got to teach them these kinds of values. If you don't, you're not going to get this kind of thing. You're not going to get these kinds of ideas. I was stunned at how few people coming into my elite college, Davidson College, still cannot write at an extremely decent professional level. And that's the only way that a company, a business is going to want to hire you. One, if you can do math up to the calculus level at least. Most people can't even do that coming out of high school. And two, if you can write decently, you can get any kind of decent, at least $30,000, $40,000 a year job. And people just come out of high school, 12 years of education. You have 12 years in the public school education system to prepare yourself, and they haven't prepared you for jack squat about how to live in the world. That's a huge problem right now with the high school, we're not higher education, lower secondary education. People don't want to admit the problem of our failing primary and secondary school systems because people don't want to make real reform. People don't want to talk about actually radically changing the educational structure of our nation. You go to, I've been in Scotland now for a long time. Here in Scotland, people declare what they want to do by 10th grade. Literally, people go to college knowing already exactly what major they want to be in. There's no kind of time for exploration. I'm not saying this is the model that we should adopt. I'm saying that we should not assume that our Western teaching model, our American teaching model that tries to make people comfortable as possible, is strictly the best way to give things. In fact, right now it's quickly becoming the worst, as people are coming out of high school in an increasingly competitive job market with literally no job marketable skills. So what I'm saying here is, how do we fix this? Well, I'm going to go through this more in the days to come, but the starting point really is this: effective choices have to be put out. You have to give people choices, access to educational different options. You have to be able to see what works. You have to be able to understand that our system right now is not working, and we need to change it. Whether that's sending people to trade school at an earlier age, association school, whether that's embracing a liberal arts teaching model, whether that's paying teachers more, whether that's decreasing class size, increasing class size. You have to be able to have, if you give someone 12 years to educate someone in a public school education system, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you have to be able to come out with strong, consistent results, and that's not what we've been getting. So let's forget talk about college, forget talk about higher education. The real root of the problem starts with the high school diploma. Let's not ignore that. Thank you.